And we're going to have a look at the Musician's Codex, and I've done it as a quiz. Some of you might have experienced my quizzes before. If you haven't, well, here we go anyway. I've got all the questions put together on a PowerPoint, and I might even manage to successfully share the PowerPoint as well, which will be a first for me on Zoom. So let's see how we go. So I'm just going to go through the questions. If you have your pad and paper, you'd be scribbling down your answers or do them on your note function or your iPad or whatever. I don't really mind, but why not give it a go and see how you get on with the questions. And so we'll go through them all, and then we will have another look through and maybe have a bit of a chat about some of the images, because although some of the images and some of the questions are really quite simple, others are a bit kind of, is there any right answer here? Or is this the cue for a debate? So hopefully this will just be a little bit of a lead into having a closer look at some of these amazing Cantigas illuminations. So I now have to conquer my fear of sharing PowerPoint. So let's do it. I've done that. Question 2. Right, so there are 2 points available for this question. What is the instrument, and what would you say is unusual about it? Question 4. Just 1 point available here. Question 5. What a wonderful array of pictures. We're going to have a follow-up to this question with a bit of a closer look at a couple of these images. Same basic instrument, but what is different? See if you can think of at least 2 things. I think I thought of 4 things in the end. This is spot the difference. But at least 2 things which are different about these 2 versions of this instrument. And you might think of things which I haven't thought of. Right, 7. What are these 2 playing? And these 2. It's a classic one where it just looks like they're having such a conversation as they go along there. Any idea about that one? So for this one, I've kind of identified them as some kind of fiddle. It's hard to say, but so it's a bit of a vague question, this one. But any ideas? What would you say might be unusual about those kind of fiddles? Anything you would suggest? I had a couple of ideas. Nice easy one for you. What's the instrument? And that one. I suspect that this one might initiate a bit more debate than some of the other ones. I wonder what names people might come up with for that instrument. Now, what instrument are these two jamming on? Again, there might be a bit of debate about this one. Let's see what people come up with when we go through the answers. And these two? I think that one might be a bit easier. I know we've got quite a few people whose first language isn't necessarily English. So it might be interesting to hear some of the names for these instruments from in other languages. That would be very interesting to hear. So this is one of the first Cantigas images I became familiar with, because it's an instrument that Paul plays, and is fascinated to see this 13th century image of his instrument. I've just invited you to think what those particular examples of this instrument might have been made of. Oh, now I love this question. What makes this image unique in Western medieval Europe? I am prepared to be proved wrong about this. I think this is the only image of this particular instrument in Western medieval Europe. If you know of any others, I would love to know about them. 17, what would you call these instruments? Again, this is an image which is quite often seen just because it is so unusual for its time. What makes this a really unusual medieval bagpipe? So these three images all, I think, are examples of the same kind of instrument, even though they look quite different. But if we were to put all those into under one name, what would you say that name was? What could you call all three of these instruments? Mysterious as they do look in some ways. And what do you think these instruments are? And definitely worth having a close look there. Something which I think gives it away. But I'll be interested to hear what people think. So the same instrument as in the previous slide, but what is the woman playing? What instrument is the woman playing? Again, quite an unusual image here. A rare picture, shall we say, a rare visualization of music making. So all these instruments look closely related, clearly. How would you classify them? Again, if you could put all three of these examples under one heading, what would that heading be? Even though they all are a little bit different. An easy one. Name that instrument. And okay, any thoughts about that instrument? What might you call that? What type of instrument might that be? What family of instruments would you want to put that in? That's quite something. Anyway, the last image, as I say, last but not least. So I would say that it's hard to know what these two are playing exactly. It looks like it could be a simple whistle or a reed pipe. But my question here is, what is interesting about this image compared to, I think, all the other ones that we have seen? What makes this image a little bit different? Okay, there's the credit. So wonderful to be able to access that codex, that manuscript in such detail now. I'm just going to flash back through. Hey, all those little musicians. Right. Now you can let yourselves loose on chat. What's the instrument? See if we have a general consensus here. Oud, lute, medieval lutes. Yeah, I think that covers it, doesn't it? Any of those would be acceptable. Yeah, oud, lute, medieval lute. Absolutely. Brilliant. I think general agreement. Excellent. Number 2, this one. Vielle, vielle. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Vielle, fiddle. Yeah, I'd certainly go with fiddle as an English version of it. Yep, good. It all starts quite easy, doesn't it? What's the instrument? What's unusual about it? Quick, quick, quick. Gaitas, I like it. Bagpipes. Pipe, no drones, Margarita. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I was after, really. This is one of the images of a droneless bagpipe, which I think to our modern eyes and ears makes it a bit unusual. We expect a bagpipe to have a drone these days. Huh?
2 points.
2 points. What's the other point, Paul?
Well, what is it? What's unusual?
Oh yeah, 2 points. Give yourselves 2 points if you got both bagpipe and no drone or droneless. What's the instrument called? Fast typing. Symphony, symphonia, symphony zanfona, lovely. Hurdy-gurdy or symphony. Yeah, yeah. Symphony. I think there's a consensus going, organistrum, there's a consensus here on symphony. And I think that is probably the best name for it. I am super picky about calling it a hurdy-gurdy because I think a hurdy-gurdy has too much that is developed from this instrument, if you like. And I would rather myself keep hurdy-gurdy for that later instrument. Are we going to allow hurdy-gurdy, Paul? Are we going to give a half a point?
It's a medieval hurdy-gurdy.
But if it just says hurdy-gurdy? Oh, okay, you can have hurdy-gurdy. There we go. Yeah, gurdies have different shapes and chiens. Exactly, Margarita. I think it is too different, particularly with the chien and the that percussive effect of the hurdy-gurdy. So I think 1 point for symphony. I'm going to be strict. 1 point for symphony or zanfona, symphonie. Yeah.
What about organistrum?
Organistrum, no, I'm not going to go with organistrum because again, I think it's a little bit too different. Yeah, organistrum. I don't know. That's really hard.
They're interchangeable.
They are. Christopher Page says they're interchangeable, doesn't he? Yes. All right. You can have a point for organistrum. Yes. Yes, because it seems like the terms were pretty interchangeable in the medieval period. Good. Right. What are all of these? Go for it. Sultry, 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 dulcimer, citara. I don't know. Maybe that is a good term in Spanish, Maria. I don't know, but we would certainly call this a sultry. A sultry. That is the point I am going to give there. 1 point for sultry, not for dulcimer. Dulcimer is hammered, typically. So these are all being plucked. So that makes them a medieval sultry. Brilliant. Now here's the detail one. Same basic instrument. They're all sultries, but what's different between the one on the left and the two on the right? What differences did we spot? Roses. I didn't get that one, Catherine. Like it. Holding manner. Yeah, Margarita, that's one of the ones that I got. And yeah, good. The left one doesn't have a rosette. The shape, of course, Carol. Yes, brilliant. Wendy, beautiful. The one on the right is being played with the fingers and the one played by the single musician is being played with the hands, and the one being played by the two musicians is being played with plectrum. Elizabeth, yep. The single musician appears to be playing one-handed, and the double musicians are playing with two hands. Yes. All right. I think we've covered all the ones that I said there. What did I say? I said different shape, plectrum versus fingers, one hand versus two hands. We have to give a point for the rosette, I think. Yeah. Catherine, he may be playing drones on the left with the left hand. That's what Paul does when he plays that instrument, but I'm not sure about that. So we will have a point for rosette. We will have a point for plectrum versus fingers. We will have a point for different shape. we will have a point for one hand versus two hands. What about the different position of the tuning pegs, Paul? What do you think? Significant?
It varies so much on psalteries.
It varies so much on psalteries, but yeah, give a point for the different position of the tuning pegs. Okay, excellent. Oh gosh, that was interesting. So 1 point each for however many of those you got. Easy one, thank goodness. What have we got here? Piatti. I don't know that term, Margarita, but it looks like it's the same idea. Cymbals is what I think we would say in UK English. Yeah, cymbals. But if that's what you mean by piatti.
It is
Cymbals? Good. Paul says yes. Yes, piatti for cymbals. Oh, Catherine, thank you. Brilliant. Yes. So cymbals or piatti. Brilliant. I've learned something. And these two. I wondered how we get on with this one. Okay, we've got a few ideas there. Basically, we've had variations on gittern, citole, or rebec. I would say it's a gittern. Yeah, I would say it's a gittern. The citole shape is typically different from this, not the teardrop shape. And the rebec would almost always be being played with a bow. I mean, like 99.99% of the time. So yeah, gittern. 1 point for gittern. And that's all that we are going to accept here. And next, what have we got? Yeah, organetto or portative organ. Weird organetto, Andrew, yeah. With most instruments, you feel like the artists have definitely seen them, but you do wonder with this one a bit because it is so very different and very strange compared to just about every other picture of a medieval portative organ. But yeah, portative organ, organetto. Bello is killing me on this one. Absolutely. Good. All right, anything unusual? It looks like a chicken, sorry. Anything unusual about these kinds of fiddles? Oh, Andrew, brilliant. Yeah, can't see any bridge. Yeah. 4 strings I wouldn't go with because the number of strings can vary so much. And Catherine, yeah, no sound holes, it may be skin. I think so, yeah. I think this is an example of a skin covering, a skin top. Yeah, we're all in agreement there. So yeah, skin top, no sound hole, no support, no bridge. I think these are the 3 important things. I'm not a player with a bow at all, but maybe people who are players with a bow might also. What do you think? How on earth would you play it like that? I mean, I don't know. Are these fiddles levitating magically or something? I don't know. Maybe it's possible. Catherine would be able to tell me better, I'm sure. So yeah, no bridge, no sound hole, a skin top. 1 point each. Easy. Is it so easy? Nobody's going to say thank you. Harp, yeah, a medieval harp. I would say it's a Romanesque style harp rather than Gothic, but let's not quibble too much. Harp. Any ideas? Rota. Rota. Yeah. Yeah, this is the instrument that is nowadays typically called a rota. With it's held like a harp. It has the triangular shape of a harp, but it definitely has a sound box behind the strings as opposed to at one end of the strings as the harp usually does. So it is usually called a rota nowadays, but if you want to call this a psaltery, I'm not going to disagree because that seems to me what it fundamentally is. Some people think, though, and other images suggest, that there may be strings on both sides of the sound box. So the side that we can't see at the moment could also have strings, which would make it less of a psaltery and kind of like a harp, but with a sound box in the middle. So yeah, hence all those pegs, Catherine. Exactly. Yeah. So rote or psaltery, I will take for that one. Rota or psaltery, you can have your point for either one of those in the circumstances. What are these into jamming on? Rebex, rebab, rebax or rebel. Yep. Any other thoughts? Or does that sum it up? Looks like Barry's rebel with a skin bit on the bottom. Now that is specific, Catherine. They are playing Barry's rebel with a skin bit on the bottom. No, there would be some debate about this. Yeah. I would take Rebek, Rebab, or Rebel. It does have something of the shape of a Rebab there, with its slight wastedness to it.
Mentioned that Rebecca's contested.
Rebek is deeply contested, and if we had Barry Pierce here, we wouldn't get away before 11 o'clock deciding what this particular bowed instrument would be called. But I would like to say it's in the Rebek family, and depending on choice, I'll accept Rebek, Rebab, or Rebel. These two? Yeah. Oh, lovely. Flauta de tres dedos, three-holed pipe, we might say, yeah? Yeah, pipe and table. We're all happy there, aren't we? Or three-holed pipe and drum. Lovely. 1 point for the two, not 1 point each. Any idea what these two flutes might be made of? Yeah, I was thinking it might be a bamboo flute there, Margarita. Absolutely. Yeah.
By bamboo, you mean river cane?
Yeah, river cane, a river cane of some kind, a cane of some kind, absolutely. And the one on the left, I was thinking possibly elder or some other softwood. Yeah, cane, yeah. Lovely. Cane was what I was after. A reed family or a type of softwood that really likes water. Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. It was only when I had the chance to look at this image in the high resolution that's now available that I could see those kind of markings on the flute, which are very suggestive of cane. It was interesting. So anyone, what makes this unique in Western Europe? Dumbeck from Anna. Basic chord. Debaka, Dumbeck. Yeah, all these words. Dumbeck. I would say we're just going to be general about it. A goblet drum. I don't think I'd want to give it any particular name, but goblet drum. And a woman playing at Maria, yeah, which is interesting because it's this association of women with percussion seems to be quite strong. We have a woman playing different percussion later on, don't we? So it's a nice little suggestive insight of a female tradition in music making at the time. But yeah, if anybody else knows another picture of a goblet drum in Western medieval Europe, please let me know. As far as I know, it's the only one. And that is the justification for so many goblet drums in medieval music. Reed pipes. I think they definitely are reed pipes of some kind. Triple pipes, yeah. Launadas. I was wondering if somebody would say Launadas, Veet. Absolutely. That's the name of the Sardinian folk triple pipe, isn't it? So yeah, definitely a point for Launadas. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but yeah, triple pipe or Launadas I would go with there. Aulos, I would say, was an older name that wouldn't really apply here, but yeah, triple pipe or Launadas. There are 3 reed pipes, definitely reed pipes there with that mouthpiece they've got on them.
So people say reed pipes.
If they say reed pipes, yes, they have a point for reed pipes, point for triple pipe, point for Launadas. Okay, it's a bagpipe. What makes this really unusual? So many drones, yes. It's a big bag as well, I'll give you that. But multi-droney, yeah, multi-droney. It is a double chanter as well, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, those 4 drones, did they really have one like that? So many of these pictures, they do seem so minutely observed. I mean, often when we look at them, if it's an instrument that we know, I don't know about you, but I look at them and I think that the fingers are and the arm positions, they're typically so well observed. So that does make us want to believe the witness of the of the cantigas and believe that there really was a big bagpipe like this one. All examples of the same kind of instrument. What would we say? Woodwind. Bit general, Anna. Double pipe. Bladder pipes on the left, certainly, Andrew, and maybe in the middle. Shawm, bladder pipe, samura, double flute. I would say, in agreement with a couple of you there, that what unites these is that they are double pipes. There are some variations between them for sure. The one on the left, the one in the, sorry, my left, and the one on, oh, not your left, the one on the left and the one in the middle, they look like they may well have some kind of bladder. The ones on the right don't have, but what is the same about them is that these are double pipes and almost certainly double reed pipes as well. So yeah, 1 point for double pipes, and I'm going to be strict about that. That's what they are, the same kind of thing. 1 point for double pipes. And what do you think these instruments are? Shawm, like the shawm bombards. Albagon, is that another idea?
Lovely word.
Yeah, lovely word. Yes, definitely. Albagon, like it, Vit. Shawm. Like grayas. Yeah. Thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah. I think these are representative of, for want of a better word, a shawm. But I would take albagon, graya, of course. They are a reed pipe. The shape is unusual for what we normally see of medieval shawms nowadays, though they are like some, I can't remember what country they were from, but I saw a shawm of very similar shape to this. As maybe zurna is another good word, Salvatore, yeah. So zurna, shawm, graya, or just reed pipe. Any one of those will do for a single point. And what's the woman playing? Claves, castanets. Would you call those? I suppose you could call those castanets, couldn't you? Yeah, castanets or claves. Maria, I don't know the name tejoletas, but I suspect you know more about these instruments than I do. Blocks of wood. So castanets, claves, maybe bones. Yeah, bones. I was wondering if somebody might say bones as well. So anything that you're using your whole hand for a percussive effect, clacking them together. Tejoletas. Paul's looked it up. Tejoletas. Fine. Brilliant. Yes. So we have tejoletas, castanets, claves, bones. That's good. Well spotted, Margarita. Yeah, she is singing. How would you classify these instruments? Andrew's come straight in with the Moorish guitar. Cetra. I'm not sure about cetra. Moorish guitar, citola, Saracen guitar, vihuela from Catherine. Hey, this one's bringing all the answers to the party, isn't it? Vihuela de mano. Plucked strings, I like it. We're being safe there. Guitarra moresca, so Moorish guitar again. They are often called Moorish guitar. And I wonder if that's because one of them is very plainly being played by a Moor, a dark-skinned player there in the middle picture. I don't know where this term comes from, and it seems a little bit, I don't know, maybe wishful thinking to call it that. Baldosa, yeah, that's a good word. Yes, I remember something like that. Maybe also they're called Badura in the Eastern Mediterranean as well, which I think sounds like it's related. I just want to be, I will let you have Moorish guitar, okay? We can have a point for Moorish guitar. But I just want to call them something really, really basic, like a long-necked guitar. That long-necked is a kind of reminiscent of earlier styles of plucked guitar type instruments. And it's a style that broadly goes out of fashion in favor of the citole and the guitarn as time goes on. But Moorish guitar, long-necked guitar. I'm not sure about vihuela. I know Asia calls them vihuelas, Paul, but that seems to me to be a later name. So long-necked guitar, Moorish guitar. Let's go with one of those. And an easy one. I don't know the word nafir. Trumpet, yeah. Nafir, yeah. Paul is approving nafir. Nafir is Arabic. Thank you. Okay. There's a Galician name for them. What's that one, Paul? Put it in there. Go on. Trumpet buzina, yeah. So buzine, of any variation on buzine, buzina, yeah. Anafil is a good medieval term for them as well.
Related to the Arabic.
Obviously related to the an Arabic word, yeah. Oh, how fascinating. Yeah, you can see the Sufic text on the bottom of the trumpet. Wow. Yeah, never spotted it. Anafil, Nafir. Oh, yeah, they're related names, aren't they? Brilliant. So trumpet, Anafil, Nafir, Busin, or variations on those. 1 point for any of those. One of my favourite images. Any thoughts here? We've got a family of instruments. What family? It's not a crumhorn, Catherine, all right? We have no crumhorns. It's okay. I just go. We might want to call it a crumhorn because it's a bent pipe, and that's all that it means, isn't it? But really odd shofar, yeah. But yeah, crumhorn is specifically a later instrument. I'd say the same for cornetto, actually, Anna. But yeah, Catherine, yeah, you're saying brass family, and I think you're right. I think looking at those. The mouthpiece as it comes to the mouth of the player, it looks like a brass type instrument to me. Yeah, but they definitely have bladders. Okay, Andrew, yes, they definitely have bladders. So I don't know. The embouchure is telling. Absolutely, I think that's an embouchure for a brass type instrument. But they are horns with bladders, maybe. Yeah, this is definitely one where I don't think there's a. We can't be sure. So give yourself a point if you thought you'd had an idea. Yeah. Okay. Everyone gets a point there. Everyone gets a prize. And our last one, what's interesting about this image compared to the others we've seen? Yeah. Absolutely. That's what I spotted. Yeah, they look like shepherds. It's outside, it's outdoors, it's rural. And there's commoners. Yeah, absolutely, Ian. They are commoners. This is, in contrast to all the others, quite a low status image. And I think that's probably reflected in those simple little instruments that they're playing. So while the rest of the images might give us an idea of the instruments that were played at the court of Alfonso, maybe this is a glimpse into something a little bit more lower status, a little bit more everyday. And it's wonderful. And yeah, the sheep have cleared off, haven't they, Catherine? They've had enough of the racket. Oh, right. Well, that took a lot longer than I thought it was going to do, I have to say, right? So though it was brilliant and I really enjoyed it, and I hope you did as well. It's just so good to look at these amazing images, but we do have to hurry on. Paul's getting me to wind it up, carry on, crank it up a little bit. So, dear, oh dear. We are going to continue with something a little bit different. We're going to have some storytelling, because although we're obviously, as medieval musician types, concentrating on the Cantigas de Santa Maria, Alfonso published more things than just that. And in 1251, when he was still only the heir to the throne, he had a collection of Eastern exemplary tales, La Calila Digna, translated from Arabic into Castilian, and it's said to be the first of the works that he had translated from Arabic into his own language. And it's one of the first of collections of tales in Castilian, and we are going to have a taste of those tales now with the wonderful WASP storytellers, Linda and Tony.
And so it was that the very first book that was translated from Arabic to Castilian was Khalili al-Dimna, if I've said it right, which is the name of two jackals. It's a book of animal stories, designed so that they didn't insult the king, just like a jester would make a joke and try and tell the truth to the king. This book was part of a series called The Mirror to the Princes. It was designed to help kings rule wisely. And in these stories, the king is represented by a lion.
The lion was the king of the jungle. He would go around, he would kill animals and eat them. He would sometimes kill them just for fun. And the other animals in the jungle, well, they really were frightened of the lion and they didn't know what to do. And they collected together and they talked about it. And they said, well, if we drew lots and one animal drew a lot every day and they went to the lion, well, the rest of us would be safe. And this was put to the lion, who agreed. Being presented with a meal every day seemed like a good idea, thought the lion. And so it went on. And one day the lot was drawn by a rabbit. It was quite a cunning rabbit, and he looked about and he thought. He was very late arriving at the lion, who roared and looked at him and said, "You're late, I want my dinner. Where have you been?" And the rabbit said, "Well, on my way here, I met another lion who claimed that he was the king of the jungle. And I was very frightened and I had to escape." Said the lion. "Another lion claiming he's the king of the jungle? Where is this lion?" "Well, I could show you," said the rabbit, if you wanted to follow me." And the rabbit hopped off and the lion followed along behind. And then the rabbit stopped at a well, a deep well, where the water was beautifully clear. "He lives down there," said the rabbit. Said the lion, and he peered down the well, saw his own reflection, thought it was another lion, and jumped in and was drowned. The other animals heaved a sigh of relief and congratulated the rabbit on his cunningness.
We hear rapturous applause. The toad and the crab. The toad and the crab lived in a very fine pond. It wasn't a big pond, but it had reeds around the edges where the small fry would be hatching. And the toad caught 2 fishes a day and ate them. This toad was an unusual toad. And the crab did the same. But time moved on, and the number of fish in the pond gradually went down, as you would expect, as there were 4 fish a day being eaten by somebody else. And the toad grew old. And crab, his best friend, said, "Well, toad, you're getting very thin. Why is that?" He said, "Well, I'm having a job catching the fish." Oh, crab said, "That's no problem. I've got 2 pets of pincers. I'll catch them for you." Toad thought this was a good idea. But as time went on, it became harder even for crab to catch all the fish they needed. So Toad said, "There's another pond over there, and I'm an amphibian. I can go from one to the other. If you put 2 small fish on my back, I'll hop over there and put them in the pond. And that pond will soon be full of fish, because no one will be eating it." Crab thought this was a good idea, so he worked extra hard and caught 6 fish a day, 4 for eating and 2 for Toad. Toad was doing pretty well out of this and getting quite fat now, because he didn't have to catch his fish, thought Crab. But then the day came and Crab said, "I really can't catch any more fish. We'll have to move to the other pond." "Okay," said Toad, "hop on my back. It's nice and slimy. You'll be all right up there for a short while. We'll get across to the other pond." "Okay," said Crab. With one pincer, he grabbed hold of Toad and hopped on his back, sort of like a cowboy getting on a horse. And off they went. As they got towards the other pond, Crab looked around and saw lots and lots of fish bones of small fish. Snap! And that was the end of Toad.
This story actually refers to humans. There were 2 businessmen who were walking on their way through a small wood. And as they walked, they suddenly saw a case under a tree. And they looked inside, and it had 1,000 dinars in it, gold coins. There was no name, there was no one around. Said the cunning man. "If we take each a share of this now, we could bury the rest, and then when we need some money, we could come and find each other and come and share some more." The naive man thought this was a very good idea. So they each took some of the dinars And then they buried the case under this beautiful old hollow tree that they knew they could recognise. And then they went their separate ways. But the next day, the cunning man came back, and he took the case, and he took all the dinars, just left it as it looking as it had been. Well, a month or so went past, and the naive man began to think he really could manage with a little more money. And so he went to find his friend and said, I need a bit more cash. Do you think we could go back to the tree and share some more money from the case that we found? Well, yes, said the cunning man, that's a good idea. And so they went back, and there was the tree, and they dug, but there was no case to be found. The cunning man looked at him and said, You stole it! You stole it! No one else knew where it was. It must be you that has stolen it. And the naive man stood there saying, It wasn't me. I am honest. I am trustworthy. It certainly wasn't me. Yes, it was, said the cunning man. I am taking you to court. And so he took the naive man to court and explained the situation to the judge. The judge looked at the two men, looked them up and down, listened to their story, and said, do you have any evidence for this? Well, yes, said the cunning man. We could ask the tree. Ask the tree? Said the judge. Well, yes, the tree witnessed it all. He would give us evidence. The judge was intrigued. He'd never heard of that before. But he was so intrigued, he said that the court would go to the tree. Meanwhile, the cunning man had suggested to his father that he should go, hide in the tree, and answer any questions that the judge asked. So there was the judge looking at this tree and said to the tree, Did you see these two men come and bury a case of money? I did, said the tree. And did you see this man, pointing to the naive man, come and take the money? I did, said the tree. The judge was flabbergasted. He'd never heard of a tree talking like this. How could a tree talk? Burn it down, he said. And at that point, the father of the cunning man screamed and rushed from behind the tree, and the whole plot was discovered. The judge declared the naive man innocent, the cunning man guilty, and he was made to repay all of the dinars.
These stories have been translated into 50 languages and are available in over 100 countries. They're still available now. The book has almost never been out of print, has many different names in many different countries, and some of the languages it's been translated into are now dead languages, like Latin. Thank you very much. We hope to see you at 9:30, but we may not. Bye-bye.